I'm thinking of a man who is a great musician. Although he cannot see, he wrote many songs that millions of people love to sing and dance to. Do you know who I'm talking about? It's Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was born on May 13, 1950, in Saginaw, Michigan. His parents named him Stephen Hardaway Judkins. His friends and family called him Stevie. Stevie was born early, 6 weeks before the doctors and his mom expected him to arrive. Because he was early, Stevie's eyes did not develop all the way. He had an eye disorder which caused him to be blind. Steve has never seen anything in his whole life. However, that did not stop him. He had incredible hearing. As a boy, Stevie's brothers and sisters would drop a coin on a table, and Stevie could tell them what type of coin it was just from the sound. Isn't that amazing? Stevie's dad had a hard time finding a job in Saginaw, so when Stevie was just 4 years old, his family moved to Detroit, Michigan, an hour-and-a-half drive south from where Stevie was born. Stevie's mom hoped that living in a big city would help her husband find a job. Stevie first got introduced to music in Detroit, where he sang in the church choir at the Whitestone Baptist Church and listened to blues music on the radio. By the time Stevie was 10 years old, he had taught himself how to play piano at a neighbor's house, drums on the small drum set that his mother had bought him, and the harmonica that one of his barbers had given to him. Stevie used these skills and began to perform. One time, he attended a concert, and when he met the band leader and told him he was a musician, the band leader put Stevie on stage. He played the drums and got paid. After that, Stevie just wanted to be paid to do something he loved, play music. Stevie then teamed up with one of his friends named John Glover. They performed together on street corners, on porches, and at parties, wherever they could. One of John's cousins, named Ronnie White, was a famous singer in a group called the Miracles. John asked Ronnie to come listen to Stevie. When Ronnie heard Stevie, he knew Stevie was something special, so he took him down to Motown Records the very next day. Motown Records was a recording studio that was owned by African Americans. Many African American singers and musicians made great music there. Their music was so great that their music became popular all over the country and even the whole world. When Mr. Berry Gordy Jr., the founder and president of Motown Records, heard about Stevie, he wasn't sure that he would let him make music at his recording studio. Mr. Gordy didn't like to let singers and musicians make music at Motown when they were younger than 18 years old. Mr. Gordy didn't want to be bothered by all the rules about when someone younger than 18 could work and how much. But when Mr. Gordy met Stevie, he knew that he had to offer him a contract and let him sing and make music at Motown Records. Stevie became a professional musician when he was only 11 years old. Every day after school, Stevie would run to Motown and work on his music. He wanted to learn everything the artists were doing, so he spent all of his time there. Stevie was so good at singing and making music, people sometimes call him a wonder, and that's where the nickname stuck. That's how his stage name became Stevie Wonder. Stevie's first album came out when he was only 11 years old, but not many people bought this album. Next, Stevie made an album where he played music written by Ray Charles. Ray Charles was a very successful African American singer and musician, but Stevie's second album didn't sell well either. Stevie was an exciting performer to watch, and live audiences loved him, but the people who loved watching him perform on stage didn't like hearing his music record. So, Mr. Gordy sent Stevie on tour to sing and play music to 36 cities when he was only 12 years old. Some of the places that were on tour were segregated. That means that African American people could not go to hear Stevie perform, only white people could. The white people who made these decisions were prejudiced against African Americans. That means they decided not to like African American people just because of their skin color. Sometimes, some of the white people even made the African American performers use different doors or eat at different restaurants. Even though Stevie had to experience racism on the tour, he played great shows. He even recorded one of those shows and released it as an album when he was only 13 years old. A song called Fingertips Part 2 was on that album, and people loved it. It sold 1 million copies, and it was Stevie's first #1 song. It then became the #1 rhythm and blues song and the #1 pop song on the music charts. As Stevie grew up, he began to write more of his own music. Over the next few years, he made hit after hit after hit. He sang a song called Uptight, Everything's Alright in 1965, and it was the #1 song for 5 weeks. Stevie then made a lot of popular songs called For Once in My Life, My Sherry Amore, and Yester Me, Yester You, Yesterday. When Stevie earned his high school degree, he had 10 albums and 7 top 10 songs. Stevie kept a tape recorder with him most of the time so he would never forget his new ideas for songs. One of his big hits came when he kept singing Here I Am Baby at the piano, and his mom sang out Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. They put the pieces together, and that song became #3 on the charts. Stevie wrote an album with songs that talked about some of the difficult things he saw and experienced: racism, poverty, and watching other people get into trouble. One of the songs that was on the album was a love song called You Are the Sunshine of My Life, and it won Stevie a Grammy Award. Grammy Awards are given to people who write and sing the best songs of the year. Stevie also wrote and sang a song called Superstition on the very same album, and that song won him 2 more Grammy Awards. One of his albums, Songs in the Key of Life, is remembered as one of the best albums ever made. In fact, the Library of Congress has a copy of it because it is so important. Stevie used the album to write about real world issues and the people that inspired him. It was also his 3rd album to win a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. That means that out of all the albums that were made that year, Stevie's was the best. Stevie continues to make great music and perform wonderful concerts for all audiences all throughout the world. He has always kept his smile, joy, and sense of humor, even though he has had big challenges like his accident and his blindness. Stevie's songs have inspired a huge number of artists who sing all kinds of music all over the world. People who come to see him perform are young, old, rich and poor, African Americans, Asians, Africans, Latinos, white people. Everyone loves Stevie's music. Stevie has won 25 Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Award, and has received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Stevie Wonder is one of the most influential musicians in our country's history, and he reminds us to stand up for equality and justice, to love those around us, and to heal together.